Everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have this set. It's a hybrid set, which means it's done with acrylic and builder gel, and I'll show you more about that later on in the video. This is an old video. I recorded this June of last year, 2019. I forgot I had it on my phone, and I found it while trying to clear up space on my phone for new videos. So I'm happy about it, and I hope you guys are too. I was happy I found it, forgot I did it, and I think this is great. I haven't done a lot of acrylic videos for you guys lately, so I'm happy that I had this in the stash unknowingly. Now, this was her previous set. I don't know how much time went by. Her appointments are usually 4-5 weeks usually, so I imagine it was that long. There is a video for this set, actually. I will link it below if you haven't seen it, or I'll put it up above, a little thing you can click on and check it out. I don't know what it's called. So if you want to see how I did that, please check out that video. It's a beautiful double ombre I did. It was all acrylic with some bling, but now we are doing another all acrylic look, or a permanent design, what have you. Essentially, what we need to do is take off all this product because we're trying to do another design with acrylic and builder gel. So I'm using the Red Baron bit, and if you watch my recent videos, you know I keep saying it's kind of dulled out. It was much fresher here. It was probably newer here, if not very new. So it's working very efficiently. You see how fast that I'm going through this acrylic. I'm able to debulk it very quickly with light pressure. This is a great bit. You want to use it at a very high speed. It may sound scary, you may be uncomfortable, but it needs to be at more than 20,000 RPMs. And if it's any slower, you're going to run across the issue that you're scared of. It seems the opposite, but if you slow it down, because it has such big teeth, it's going to catch if it goes too slow, and you're going to get it where it catches on the nail, and it wraps around and things like that, and it skips. You're going to get things that you don't want to have happen. If you turn it up, it's going to sound scary and feel scary, but you'll be able to use it. It'll be smooth. It'll cut through like butter. So crank it up. I know it's scary, but you have to use this bit properly. And this goes for their Mean Green, their Texas Tornado, and any bit that's similar. Doesn't have to specifically be Atwood's bits, but there's other brands that make similar looking bits. They may be in different shapes, and different shaped. So if it's for debulking, it has these very large teeth. Generally, you're going to want it at a very high speed. So what you'll see is I'm moving on to different nails just because I don't want to start producing too much heat on the natural nail. You can see I'm going down in single even strokes and picking it up, but I just like to be more cautious. You should not have a lot of heat production or worries if you're, having a good amount of pressure, not hard, more on the light side, and then just going down and picking up and putting it back down. You don't want to keep the E-file on the nail as you're filing. You don't want to go up and down. You want to start on up. You see and bring it down, lift it up, go back down. So I'm going top down because I'm right-handed in the way the bit spins, and I'm picking it up every time. So this is sped up, so sometimes it's hard to see, but we don't want to conduct heat. So I'm going to different nails, and that's also how I work in general, just in life. I take a little bit down on this nail, take a little bit down on this nail, take a little bit down on this, do a little bit of this project, do a little bit of that project. That's just my way of getting things done in general, but it's also just to help keep from having any heat production, because I never want to make people uncomfortable or experience discomfort while getting their nails done, and that just helps us avoid that. So after I do this with this bit, I'm going to get as close as possible as I feel comfortable. You may not feel comfortable getting as close to the natural nail, You may feel just fine about it. I work very, very, very close up so I can tell what's going on with the nail. I can see the product, everything like that. I can tell if I'm getting to the natural nail. So I just try to ensure that I get as close as possible. And then now you can see I'm going in with the smooth top bit because it is a more gentle bit. And I'm also going in and flaking off whatever lifting we have. And we're going right behind where the product is lifted and just flaking that off very easily. She doesn't have much lifting, and you know, it happens. And again, these nails, I don't know exactly, but they're probably 4 to 5 weeks old. So I'm not really mad at that. If your nails made 3 weeks and they look good, your design's there, you have no lifting or minimal lifting, then I think, to me, I give myself an A every time, and you should too. I mean, you're walking around with something 3 weeks adhered onto your nails on your hands, which you use all the time. So the fact that those can last 3 weeks and still, you know, look like art and be pleasant to look at and function how they're supposed to, it's a win. So you go 4 to 5 weeks and we have, you know, a half a centimeter of some lifting. I mean, there's nothing to really talk about, you know, at all. So please don't be hard on yourself. Yes, there's people and products and body chemistry that will allow people to have 8 weeks of wear with 0 lifting. And that's great too, but that's not what we're going for. Nobody should be wearing their nails that long. That becomes also a hazard because they're so far grown out down the nail. The weight is distributed poorly, yada, yada, yada. So we're good. Next, you can see I went in and hand filed when I got closer to the natural nail. I don't know if before this clip or after, but once we get close, we want to hand file. I just want to get the rest of that pink off. You can see I'm using the skiver bit and I'm removing that cuticle that's on the nail plate. And I'm just going in and flecking that off. And then I'm using this round bit and I'm going back and forth in reverse and forward on my e-file to remove that skin. Now I'm missing some, I wouldn't say missing some clips. There's some parts I didn't record. So you see me kind of leave the skin like this. But I do go back and forth and work that skin off, and I will clip any dead hanging pieces of skin, and then clean that all up, and I'll go back in with this round bit and continue to flake that skin, buff out any calluses or anything like that. So you're missing some pieces between when I go from this clip and me doing this process to jumping into the next scene. Okay, so this is what I was referring to a little while ago. I go in with the hand file. I'm just removing that leftover acrylic from the previous set. We're real close to the natural nail. And so I don't want to use an aggressive or very abrasive bit for this. And this is sped up so it looks more aggressive than what it is. I'm not filing her natural nail like this. And plus there is still product on the nail. It's sheer and thin and hard to see. So her natural nail is perfectly fine. We're being mindful of that. And I do also want to speak to, because we're doing a permanent design in the nail, you want to take this opportunity to regain your shape, narrow back out that coffin, you know, get that almond back right, the stiletto, get it back pointy. Because if you don't and you apply product, and then in turn, when you're going to regain that shape later on in the process, once everything's applied, you're going to start filing into the product. And you'll actually, I say that because with editing, I realized that that's what I did. I did not regain my shape 100% as well as I should have. And that part of that is because of how much of the product I took off. It wasn't very stable for me to be able to file aggressively when I realized I should. So before I took the product off 100%, when the nail still had some stability, I should have went in and filed and got my sharp coffin shape, and then finished taking down the product. Once it was in the state where I was hand filing it, it was too thin for me to file aggressively enough to get that sharp stiletto shape. So I got it a little close, but you'll see the error in my ways, and I realize that's what happened, and, you know, make the best of what has happened. But, you know, you learn from my mistakes, and it's something that sometimes it is hard to remember, and once you kind of do, it's a little bit too late, and you just be careful and you make the best of it, and, you know, try to be cautious. Not the end of the world, and probably more than likely, if you're a client, or, you know, you may not even notice, it may not be a deal breaker, but it kind of depends on how bad it is and how well you can keep it together. So you'll notice when you see me doing a nude to blue ombre on her pointer finger that we take off in the filing process a little bit of that ombre. So again, you get to see my mistake, and you also get to let me tell you how to avoid making that yourself. And I also know that, you know, a lot of people do have that problem. So that's how to fix it. Make sure you get your shape 100%. 99 is real close to as perfect as possible. Just on the nails, again, you're doing permanent design that will be affected by the sides. Depending on your design, it may not even be effective. If you're doing a permanent design with the acrylic and you're doing a straight line through the center, that's not going to be affected by filing the sides, you know. But because the ombre does go from side to side horizontally, it is affected by that. Okay, so let's hop to what's actually happening on the screen. You can see I'm using the Valentino Lustrous Pink, and that's that glittery nude pink color you see me using. Right now I'm using that Young Nails turquoise colored acrylic, and I'm applying that from the tip up. I'm using my Poochie's Nails size 16 Kolinsky brush, and it is pinched, and I'm taking that blue and going up and fanning it a little bit higher than I want the ombre to go, because we need to have a great blend, which means we need to have that product going from opaque to sheer, and then also from more concentration to less concentration. I'm also going to be doing a glitter ombre as well on that pinky. So on this pointer nail, this is the one I was speaking to, that'll have that little tiny bit of that ombre filed off on the side. This is going to be a glitter ombre, but we want to have that color represented underneath as well. So you can see I'm working to get that color even, and at that point I'm trying to be mindful of the very, very edges of the color, not to build it up too much. Now on this nail, you can see me applying a thin layer of clear. I do that, I may not have shown that, I think I do that on quite a few, because I want to protect the nail when I go in next for her next set and have to file it down. We don't want staining. I don't want to sit there and have to file all the way down to her natural nail like I did with the previous set. It just kind of depends if you're mindful of it, if you can spare the space in the nail, depending on what you're doing, if that makes sense. With her previous set, I ombre 3 colors together. I didn't have a lot of spare space, if that makes sense, to play with clear and then pink and then layers of trying to get orange and, you know, pink blended and then pink to nude, like, you know what I'm saying? So you just kind of have to be mindful in what time you want to spare in the future. I do not want to file this blue off of her natural nail, so you see I put a layer of clear down first. So I don't want it to stain the natural nail, and if she comes back next time and wants to do a nude, it's going to be hard to cover up traces of blue. I don't want to do it, so I put a very, very thin layer of clear. Okay, and now I'm doing this blue as a base for my glitter, because I'm using a pretty chunky glitter, and this will help fill in the spaces because it's a similar tone. This is what I recommend if you do one-on-one classes with me. I always show people in real life. It's my little secret tip, but I'm sharing you guys right now today. For my only charge is that you give this a thumbs up and subscribe. But yes, that's just it's a very simple trick, and it's not just this most amazing secret ever. It may be very obvious to you, but if it wasn't, maybe, you know, you learned something. So if you're doing a chunky glitter, find a coordinating color to go underneath, because it is hard to, let's say you're doing a chunky triangle glitter, and it's red, a red holographic triangle glitter. You're going to have a very difficult time getting red triangles, which are straight, angled, lined shape, trying to get it to go around that horseshoe shape of the cuticle area, which is more organic. It's rounded. You know, you're trying to fit a triangle into a semicircle, essentially. That's just, it does not work. But what you can do is get that, you know, that blue up there into that semicircle shape very easily. Or in this case, we would do like a coordinating red to match the red triangles. So if you do have gaps, you can't really tell. You'll see solid red. Or you can even do like a micro glitter, something that's easier to work with. Micro glitters are easier to apply, and you can get them in that nice shape. So that's something to consider. So you'll see once I get more, you'll see the benefit of it when we get to that nail. So you can see I'm going in an ombre in this lustrous pink over these colors. I thought it was real pretty. The glitter and the nude, ombreing that kind of makes it a little bit easier actually to kind of get that look. I don't have to work as hard. So you can see on this nail, I'm taking this chunky glitter off screen. I mixed this glitter with clear acrylic. And I didn't put much clear. That's my own decision. I personally probably wouldn't like if I purchased the glitter. I mean, I wouldn't be terribly, a lot of people don't like it like this. I'll say that. But I personally like it with less acrylic, so I can build the nail with as much glitter as I want, if that makes sense. And what I mean is, if you have a lot of clear in your glitter, you're going to be putting more, let me explain like this. Have you ever bought like a glitter regular nail polish and you polish it on and you have like 3 pieces of glitter and it's mostly clear on your nail? That's what I don't want when applying. I want glitter here. So I just put enough clear acrylic powder for it to have, you know, me be able to pick it up and for it to adhere. That's it. I don't want it scattered or anything like that. If I was doing like a scattered glitter or something I didn't want as concentrated, maybe I'd put more clear. But this is, you know, for personal use. I mix it myself. Whatever you want to do, what makes you happy, what makes it easier for you. But you see how I'm taking individual glitters and I'm placing them. I'm very particular about my ombres, my glitters. You may not think it matters, but getting those little pieces in the right spot will help make it look better. So you'll see me in this ombre nail. I did the same thing with this. I put that dark blue to kind of represent that glitter. So where in places and spaces where there is not glitter, you'll see a coordinating blue color and you won't be able to tell. So I'm really particular about my blends, like I said, and you'll see me picking up, literally, I'm picking up that blue dot of glitter. I'll pick up those little green glitters, and you see I'm literally placing them up the nail. We want a higher concentration of glitter, and you want it to kind of fan out and blend out. So once I get those perfectly, of course, we move on to the next nail. On her thumb, we did a little bit of different. The client wanted a silver leaf ombre up over the lustrous pink. So I'm going and apply a little bit of the clear acrylic, and that worked for a second. It got dry. I didn't put enough. Whatever. It was irritating me. I remember that. And I know it was a year ago, but I could tell. I know it did. So I just took some nail glue and put it on the nail, and while it was still wet, dropped those pieces of foil where I wanted them, and did essentially the same concept with an ombre. We want bigger pieces, more concentration towards the tip, and you want smaller, more or less concentration of pieces once you fan up. However hot you want the ombre, that's you and your client's choice. Next, we are going to be encapsulating our design. Now, for this ombre, I'm going to be encapsulating with the clear acrylic. I find it to be just fine. And I say that meaning with the glitter nails, I'm going to encapsulate with clear builder gel. And the reason for that is, if you're, new here, you know that clear builder gel has superior clarity to acrylic. Just as long as it's a quality clear gel, it's going to just be more clear. That's just what it is. It's just how it's made. There's some beautiful clear acrylics, and some of them you may not be able to tell the difference too much, but there's something about clear gel. It's because it's not, you can't see the particles, if that makes sense in any way, because there's I'm going to say this word, polymerization with acrylic. There's a part of it that you can always tell was a powder that was made into a different state. Hopefully you know what I mean here. When you look at it, it's a part, you can tell. I can put the same color nude, one in acrylic, one in gel, and they could be identical in color, and I can always tell, and I'm sure you'll be able to as well, just because you can see that it once was separate particles recently. So having that benefit of not seeing that with clear gel, it just makes the clarity just so much better. Now, I will say there's certain builder gels that may not be as clear. Certain brands, or even in Light Elegance, their thickest viscosity gel doesn't have the best clarity. Otherwise, their cool gel and their One Step and just their other gels, they're superior in clarity compared to a lot of acrylics you will see. Now, I went over the glitter with Light Elegance Tack, and then I cured it. Or you can go over it with Protein Bond. This is to allow our glitter or our acrylic to adhere to the builder gel properly, so we don't have any lifting or anything like that. And you can see, look at this nail. Look at the cuticle area. You see how it has that horseshoe shape. You don't see, if I took that, it's because that blue is there. That's what I'm getting at. Because I put that blue, it looks like I perfectly placed that glitter to a cuticle area. I did not. Those glitters, you'll see some are, you're missing spaces. There's a star up there. How would that ever fit? So really look at that, and you'll notice the benefit of putting that matching color. From a distance, it looks like I said, I perfectly got that glitter to her cuticle area. I did not. So back to this application, you can see I went ahead and cured that tack, or allow that protein bond to dry. I'm putting on a slip layer. You'll see me brush a thin layer and then taking a bigger bead of that gel. You see right now, I'm going in and floating that down the nail. We want to move slower and just use the tip of that brush. This is sped up so it looks aggressive. We don't want bubbles, so you want to move slow. You don't want to flop the brush everywhere. Just move it, and I'm just using literally the very tip of the brush. Again, this is sped up. It looks aggressive, but notice how I'm just using the tip and I'm walking that product where it needs to go. And so again, you see me applying that slip layer, and then to the bottom of the nail is where I'm going to focus on this one for the encapsulation. I don't want it too thick at the cuticle area. We're just going to go in and file a lot of that down anyways. So you can see I'm floating the product more so towards the tip of that nail and getting it all evened out. So once I get the product where I want it, I kind of move it and make sure I have a nice shape, looking from the side profile of the nail where the apex is, get it where it needs to go. And you see I'm just laying a little bit of product on there and just fanning it down, moving it around. We go ahead and cure. So I shaped the nails off camera, and now I'm going in with finish filing. So what you'll notice, I'm using a fine grit safety bit or smooth top bit. And you see over there on these sides, very little I take off that ombre. And that's what I was trying to avoid. And I knew it would happen again because I was aware at some point, like, man, I waited too long in the process to try and shape these. But it wasn't noticeable. My client didn't notice. She didn't say anything. As far as I know, she loved them. And unless she's seeing this video right now or something, I don't think she ever noticed. And I also, after this, go in and reshape the sides again, essentially trying to file off the missing ombre part, if that makes sense. Kind of bringing in, tapering in the coffin shape a little more to basically remove that error. Not greatly. I wouldn't do it to the point I deform the nail or I'm risking the sidewalls or anything like that. But it's an option to do to kind of help camouflage that. But really from face on, when you're looking at this nail, you can't really tell. So you just it just depends on the circumstances, the situation, your shape, everything like that. These are just different tips and tricks to try and troubleshoot. That's what I'm trying to give you guys, ways to troubleshoot. So I use the crosscut bit in place of a buffer. You guys know I don't really like buffers. That helps us get nice and tight into the cuticle area. So next I use the protein bond. You see me apply that. And that allows our top coat to adhere so it doesn't separate. If you've ever used a gel top coat and you applied it and it kind of separated, like there was oil on the nail or it pulled away from the cuticle area, this will help it. This also fills in spaces where you've buffed the surface, which you need to do so the top coat adheres properly, but also you can kind of see those striations in the surface. Again, I'm trying to avoid that. So we fill it in with some of that protein bond, and then it also helps the adhesion. It is a beautiful, beautiful product. So I'm using this. That's for dip nails. Is the Kiara Sky. It's the #2 product in their dip system. I'm also using a gel crystal gel a gel crystal glue, and you can use, I always recommend the Daily Charm one. It's really great. That one was a sample, didn't have a product name, but again, the Nail Supply Glamour one is good as well, and there's other amazing ones out there. So for the beads and the regular size flat back crystals, I'm using that crystal gel, and I just used a large amount, well, a little bit more than you probably need, so I can sink those stones into the gel. But I don't want to get the crystal gel on top of the stones. I just want to set it in just up to the edge, like you're prong setting in a diamond, if that makes sense. We just want it to hug the very edge of the stones. Now this is where I'm using that glue. You can use whatever resin or glue you would like. That's what this is essentially a resin. I use that for my big stones all the time. I will always put that down first because it creates a chemical adhesion. That big stone is chemically adhered to the enhancement, and then I'll surround it with our crystal gel, and that'll make sure it's physically adhered because it will hold the very edges of it. Again, like a prong setting, it will literally like grab the edges and hold it in. And it also building up that crystal gel around that big stone will give it essentially a ramp. It'll smooth out so you can't catch hair underneath of it, your clothes, anything like that. You can't catch it on things, just in general. So this two-step process works beautifully for me when you're using those bigger shaped stones. Highly recommend you put a resin or glue down first. It doesn't have to be that crystal, the Kiara Sky one. Not saying that, just this process done in this order with this intention. I'm literally building up that gel around the tip of that stone because it's pointy at the end. We don't want it to be pointy. So I'm kind of camouflaging that tip, and I'm making it where it's rounded, it's smooth. There's like a ramp that goes from the tip down to the enhancement. So when you feel the top of that stone, it looks like there's going to be a point there, but you don't feel the point, not like that. So if the point doesn't exist, it can't catch on things. I hope it makes sense to you guys. And now you can see I'm going in with my favorite no wipe top coat. I'm going over those beads. I always go over the beads, but never the stones. Never the stones. Never go over your crystals. They will not sparkle. You want to go around them, the very edge of them, not the top of them. It needs to catch the light. As soon as you put top coat on it, even though it's clear, it's not going to catch the light the same. You're going to take away the facets of it. And that's what causes it to bling and sparkle, because there's a hard edge there that catches the light and it catches your eye. So don't take those away. But you can go over the beads. I encourage you to go over the beads, and you'll see I'll go in with a smaller brush. I don't want to keep using that big brush, just to get around those stones and over those beads and in between those spaces. And of course, all next to that bigger stone. I go ahead and wipe the edges just to make sure I don't lose my nice crisp shape. And that is it. That's our final look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned some things. You learned from my mistakes and, you know, how to fix them and how to avoid them. If we don't make the mistake, that'd be ideal. So thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and thumbs up, subscribe, put on the bell. I hope you guys enjoy these new videos. Thank you guys for watching. My voice has had it in this video. It's 30 minutes. I've talked most of it. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to wear a face mask. Consider your neighbor. Please be kind. All right, you guys. Bye.